Hi, I'm Benita from Patriarchal Femininity, and today I want to talk about my story as a feminist. So it all started in primary school. You know how when the teacher asks the class, what do you want to be when you grow up? And none of the options were to be a housewife or a homemaker or a stay-at-home mom. And I remember I said I want to be a reporter, which is like, yeah, okay, good if you want to be a reporter, but why were there no options to be a homemaker? Why was that not ever talked about? And it's ironic because when I grew up, my mother stayed at home, so we always had a clean home and we always had fresh food, and we were taken care of in that aspect. So the indoctrination started pretty early. When I was like 14 to 16, I considered myself to be gender fluid and bisexual, which looking back, I don't even know how that's possible. I would never ever be with a woman now, and I'm a woman, not gender fluid. And people were just accepting of that. Like, everyone acted like it's so normal, right? But it's really not. And the thing is also, no one ever gave me an option to even think about being a homemaker. Everyone was just like, you go to school and then you work and you build yourself a career, and then later in your 30s you have children, which biologically speaking, the best time to have children is in your 20s because that's when you're the most fertile, but that's just, what everyone did. Then when I was like 15 probably, I had all kinds of hair colors. I had green hair, blue hair, yellow hair, orange hair, everything that you can imagine. And I had piercings all over my face, and all my ears were pierced too. I just looked really crazy, and I was into metal and everything like that, and just looking back is so crazy now. The reason why I used to be a feminist is because I believed that women didn't have equal rights. But the thing is, I live in the West. So now looking back, what right don't we have? We have the right to self-defense, we have the right to free speech, we have the right to vote, we have every single right that men have. Another reason why I used to be a feminist was because I believed in the wage gap. I still believe it now, but there's a big difference in how I believe, or why I believe that there is a wage gap. I used to think that women just get paid less than men because of sexism, right? But now I know that the reason why women get paid less is because women don't work as many hours as men do. Women are agreeable, so they are much less likely to go up to their boss and demand a raise or demand a promotion than men are. And also, men work much more difficult jobs than women do on average, and men don't take time off to take care of their babies. Let's talk about why I was gender fluid. I believe that because there are some days where I didn't feel very feminine and I couldn't identify as a woman, I guess. I like to wear men's clothing. So, being on the internet a lot at that age, I was reading how there are people who, as children they played with the boys' toys, and we only had male friends growing up, and we like to dress like boys and we like to do boy stuff. That means you're not a woman, okay? But now I know that having hobbies and liking certain things doesn't automatically mean that you're not a woman, and it also doesn't mean that you are a woman. Being a woman is ingrained in your DNA. Your chromosomes, your bone structure, your bone density, your lung volume, everything that you can imagine. It's literally inscribed into your DNA. So it's either you're a woman or a man, and there is no such thing as fluidity when it comes to gender. Same with being bisexual. You can look at, as a woman, you can look at another woman and think that she's very beautiful and that she's attractive, and you can like her, but that doesn't automatically mean that you want to have sex with her. And I didn't really understand that, and the thing is, I was indoctrinated to believe that if you look at another woman and you feel a certain way about her, that automatically means that you're attracted to her and that you want to be with her. But that's not the case. I can look at a woman and say, wow, she has such beautiful hair, or wow, I really love her clothes, or wow, she has a pretty face, but that doesn't mean that I would want to be in a relationship with her. And that's something that leftists don't really understand. And also, let's be honest, statistically speaking, you're more likely to be gay if you grew up without a father or in an unstable home. And they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about how there's people like me who found God, prayed and prayed and prayed, and suddenly they didn't have those feelings anymore. Suddenly they weren't confused about gender or sexuality anymore, and they knew exactly what they wanted. So I remember that I was a feminist until 2016, and I was also on the very far left side of the political aspects. And I remember it so with such certainty because that's when Trump was elected. And I remember right at that time I was also converting to Catholicism. I used to be a Satanist, right? So I was a feminist and a Satanist. What a shocker. As if they're not all Satanists. With praying as much as I did, I eventually discovered that, okay, I do want to be a Christian and I do want to find God and come closer to God. So eventually I converted. I don't remember what year it was, but somewhere around 2016. With Trump being elected, even though I don't even live in the US, it really woke up something inside of me. I realized how far gone the left actually is with all the riots and all the insulting that they do. It's just terrible, and that kind of woke me up to what it is that I believed in. It's like, I'm not as violent as those guys. I'm not as rude as those people. I don't want women to have abortions until the day that they are born. Even though I used to be pro-choice, I was always like, okay, maybe after a few weeks, you shouldn't be able to have an abortion anymore. And they ostracized me for that belief. They said that I'm not actually a feminist, that I'm not actually pro-women's rights, because I don't want them to kill their baby up until the baby is born. I also used to believe that the patriarchy is bad, and that the patriarchy just means that men are in power. Okay, let's talk about men who are in power, dear feminists. Let's talk about how there are men in female swimming teams, how they are the ones who are winning all the competitions, and how women are far behind. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the patriarchy. You want to fight against the patriarchy, but you want to let men win in female competitions? How does that make any sense? Explain that to me, please. Feminism is a trap. They trap you with, oh, we just want equality. We just want equality for women, and we don't want women to be paid less, and we want this and that, whatever. Then they start with things like, oh, there's actually 56 genders, and sie, sie are pronouns, and if you define a woman as an adult female, then you are sexist. I don't know. How can anyone believe that crap? How can anyone actually sit down and believe all of that? The whole pro-choice thing was a big, big reason why I was no longer a feminist. Why I'm no longer a feminist, because as soon as you start to accept biology, that life starts at conception, you can no longer argue for abortions. You can't say, oh, I'm pro-life for myself, but I'm pro-choice for others. So you're fine with other people killing babies? No. And that's just a taboo for feminists. How dare you say that a baby deserves life? How dare you say that a baby deserves to die, dear feminists? So in the name of wokeness, they let men compete with women, and they let women kill their babies up until the moment that they're born. And I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but in California they're trying to pass a bill, or they did pass a bill, where they could possibly even kill their baby after it's born. Yeah, it's satanic. And the thing is, you don't ever hear feminists talk about genital mutilation that's happening in Africa, or how women in other countries were just allowed to drive. They couldn't even drive their own cars. Or honor killings. Let's talk about honor killings, how when a woman of a certain religion that I will not name decides to have a Western boyfriend, and then the brother ends up killing her. Let's talk about that, feminists. No? And the biggest joke is that they are anti-gun. How can you be for women's rights but be anti-gun? What happens when you get you think you could fight off a rapist? You can't, but you know what? A gun is the greatest equalizer of all of them. But they are against gun rights for women, and that to me is just the biggest hypocrisy that I could ever come up with. For me, the biggest concern was that I want to have equal rights as a man, but obviously after pondering on that for a while, I realized that we do have equal rights. And to be honest, I don't even believe that we should have equal rights. I do not believe that women should vote because women are more emotional than men, and they are very easily manipulated by the political establishment, especially when it comes to things like immigration or gun rights or things like critical race theory. They're all for that. And also something that I've noticed is that I always wanted to be with a manly man, like someone who could actually protect me and fight for me if the situation would come up. And every one of my friends, they used to not like that about me because their boyfriends were very skinny dudes who had no muscles at all and were very feminine. So it's like they don't even like masculine men, and that's just something that I couldn't identify with. They excluded me for that reason. They excluded me because I'm pro-life. They excluded me because I don't believe in multiple genders. I believe in there's men and women. They've excluded me from my political beliefs. They've excluded me from my religion. And something else that they believe in is that sexual promiscuity is somehow liberating. Sleeping with God knows how many men is somehow good. That's how you get STDs, and that's how you get mentally damaged. And the absolute most funniest thing about it all is that they are pro-porn. So we've had how many years of feminism now? And women still sell their bodies for money? They've achieved nothing. Well, they have achieved something. They do achieve the destruction of our society through the family unit. They destroy the families. They destroy our society. Feminism used to say that they want to be equal to men, and now they're better than men. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you can leave a comment or a like to support my channel. I will be uploading a bit more frequently again. Maybe every second week, we'll have to see. But thank you very much for watching, and God bless you. Bye.